what have we been doing? Ah, yes, we got started on division, and we talked a little bit about how division and multiplication are related, and we really used a lot of the same sort of tools for division that we did for multiplication in the hopes of reinforcing the idea that they're really the same process. So we used group of objects, we used arrays, we used visuals, just like we did with multiplication. We did division in context. We related division and multiplication. So let's do some word problems. So up next, we have relate division to multiplication word problems. And as always, because this is a problem set that specifically references word problems, I'm going to take it slow. And we're going to take a look at every single word and make sure everything is understandable, because I know these word problems can be a big, big problem for lots of folks. Lance baked 35 cookies to give to the 7 kids at the bus stop. He gave each kid the same number of cookies. So if I wanted to find out how many cookies Lance gave to each kid, well, if I have 35 and I divide it into 7 groups, that would be 35 divided by 7, which I think is 9. But we could also say, and this is important, and I'm going to test and make sure my whiteboard actually works right now. Awesome, it does. It's important to remember that when we say 35 divided by 7 equals question mark, some number we don't know yet. I mean, yes, I know that it's 9. I think it's 9. Is it 9? No, it's not 9. It's 5. Wow. I thought 45 for a second was where my head went. So it's 5. But that's the same thing as saying, what number do I have to multiply 7 by to make 35? These are the same statement. They say the same thing, they mean the same thing. Okay? And yes, in both cases, the answer is 5. So, we could also say that 7 times blank equals 35. And that's correct. Every group at Magic Camp is made up of 7 kids. I went to a clown camp, like a performing arts camp when I was a kid. It was a lot of fun, not gonna lie. Lots of wasps, though. Like the bug, not the race. Every group at Magic Camp is made up of 7 kids. There are 56 total kids at Magic Camp. Which equations would help us find out how many groups of kids are at Magic Camp? So if there are 7 kids in a group, we need to know how many groups it's going to take. And we can do that either by multiplying 7 times some number, which I think in this case is 56. Is 8 to get to 56. And then the other way we could see it is, okay, well, if we have 56 total kids and divide them into groups of 7, how many groups will it take? They're both very similar ways of looking at this, but they kind of look at it from opposite sides, if that makes any sense. So either 7 times blank equals 56, and we need to figure out what that blank is, or we can just take 56 divided by 7. Both of these are correct because they are both saying the exact same thing. There are 32 desks in Mr. Klaus's classroom. The desks are lined up in 4 rows, and each row has the same number of desks. Which equations would help us to find out how many desks are in each row? So again, we can take 32 and divide it by 4, and that will give us the answer we're looking for. So that's going to be one of our answers. And the second one is 4 times what equals 32? Which again, in this case, I think the answer is 8, but again, we're not really interested in the answer right now. So it's going to be 4 times blank equals 32, or 32 divided by 4 equals blank. Both of these are correct because they are both equivalent. Hi, Michaelia, glad you could make it. Olivia planted 16 tomato plants in rows in her new garden. She planted 4 plants in each row. which equations would help us find out how many rows of tomato plants? Again, I'm going to try to zoom in and not show the answer just yet. So again, two ways of looking at it. Either you can take the total 16 and divide it by 4, or you can take the number of plants in each row, 4, and figure out what number you have to multiply by to get to 16. Both are absolutely valid and correct ways of thinking about it. So 4 times blank equals 16. 16 divided by 4 equals blank. And again, we're not interested in the answer yet. We will do plenty of actual division, getting actual answers later on in this stream. There are 8 chefs. They made 56 total meals. Each chef made the same number of meals. I think I'm belaboring the point at this point, so I'm going to say that 56 divided by 8 equals blank, and 8 times blank equals 56 are our two answers. There are 45 books. Each shelf on the bookcase has can hold 9 books, so that's either 45 divided by 9, or that is 9 times blank equals 45. And really quick, B and C look like they might almost be correct, but if I do 9 times 45, think about what that would actually mean in terms of this problem. And I think that's actually really important, because a lot of the time we stop telling students to make sure that the answers that they get make sense. If I do 9 times 45, that would mean 9 groups with 45 in each group. Or it would mean 45 groups with 9 in each group. So I can see why one would, maybe make this mistake. But if you take a moment to think about it, same deal with C. 9 divided by 45 is going to be a decimal. It's going to be a really teeny tiny decimal. We're going to talk about fractions later on today. But check to make sure your answers make sense before hitting that next button. There were 27 students in the art class. They're split into 9 groups. So it's either 9 times blank equals 27, or it's 27 divided by 9. And I think that's it. Excellent. So now we're going to go ahead and hit quiz 2, which we'll do without too much fanfare. That looks like 7 times 3 is 21. But it could also mean that 21 divided by 7 is 3. So again, we're taking multiplication and division, and we are relating them through, in this case, an array. 8 push-ups every day until she reached 48 push-ups. So we would need to know how many times she does the 8 push-ups to get to 48. Again, just a little trick of vocabulary that might help you remember this stuff. And then 48 divided into 8 groups, into 8 days in this case. I'm sorry, not into 8 days. Each day has 8 push-ups, so when you do the division, you find out how many days it will take. See, even I get mixed up in this stuff a lot, and that's, it's a part of math, and it's a part of education, and it's a part of life. All right, what number makes both equations true? Well, it looks to me like 7 times 5 is 35. That's what we came up with last time. When I first thought it was 9 for some reason. And 35 divided by 7 equals 5 is also true. Rhonda Rabbit found 12 carrots to give to her 4 friends. She gave each friend the same number of carrots. That's either 12 divided by 4, or it's 4 times whatever equals 12. And then finally, I happen to know that 8 times 9 is 72 because 72 divided by 9 is 8. Once again, I know I say this a lot, these are the same sentence. They are the same equation. They are equivalent. And that is quiz 2.